It started like any other lazy Sunday. My wife was sipping her lemon ginger tea. I was half reading the paper and half watching a squirrel try to rob our bird feeder. When an unmarked black van screeched to a stop in front of our house like it was in a Michael Bay movie, 3 guys in tactical vests jumped out yelling homeowner association compliance enforcement as they stormed up the driveway. Before I could even say what in the neighborhood hell, they grabbed my wife off our porch swing and dragged her across the lawn, teacups still in hand. But here is the part that chilled me to the bone. She did not scream, she did not fight, she just looked at me dead calm and winked. That is when I realized I had no idea who I had really married. Rewind just a bit. Our neighborhood Pine Grove Estates is the kind of place where people argue over mailbox colors and organize bake sales with military-level precision. Our local homeowner association, led by a woman named Karen, yes, that is really her name, has long treated the neighborhood like her personal dictatorship. She once fined us $75 for porch clutter because our dog left a toy on the step. Another time she demanded we tone down our laughter levels during a barbecue. I wish I were kidding. We always thought it was just harmless power tripping, annoying sure, but manageable. My wife Liv mostly ignored the homeowner association antics. She was a calm, grounded woman with a green thumb, a mysterious past she called just boring office jobs, and an uncanny ability to fix anything electronic in under 2 minutes. She ran a yoga class for the neighbors and grew heirloom tomatoes like she was born in a greenhouse. She also never got rattled, not when the power went out, not when a raccoon tried to steal her flip-flop, and apparently not even when she was dragged into a van by rogue men pretending to be homeowner association cops. The second the van doors slammed shut and sped off, I kicked into panic mode. I called the police. The dispatcher listened calmly as I described the kidnapping. But when I mentioned the words homeowner association enforcement, her tone shifted. "Sir," she said carefully, "we have had reports about impersonators operating in your area. I need you to stay where you are." "What does that mean?" I snapped. I was sweating. Impersonators. What kind of homeowner association hires muscle to snatch people from porches? I was still replaying Liv's eerie calmness in my mind. That wink. It was not scared, it was not desperate, it was premeditated, like she wanted to be taken. But what? I rushed back inside and grabbed my phone to try calling her, straight to voicemail. I texted, nothing. Then I noticed a blinking notification on the corner of our smart home hub, one I had never seen before. It simply read Pine Protocol activated. I tapped it. A hidden panel slid open behind the bookshelf in our study. I swear I nearly threw my back out jumping away from it. Inside was a steel case, biometric lock already open. There was a slim laptop, a small black phone, and a folded envelope with my name in Liv's handwriting. My hands were shaking. I opened the letter first. "If you are reading this," it began, "I have been taken. Do not panic, this is part of the plan." Part of the plan. I was not even part of the plan. The letter continued. "I know this will be a shock, but I work for the CIA. Technically I was retired, but Pine Grove is part of an ongoing investigation. The homeowner association is involved in something bigger than you can imagine. I will explain everything soon, but for now, trust no one, especially Karen." I dropped the letter, my knees went weak. I had just learned 2 completely unhinged things. My wife was a CIA agent, and the homeowner association was not just full of nosy busybodies, it was potentially a front for some kind of operation. I turned to the laptop and powered it on. It booted instantly into a secure CIA portal, no login required. It had facial recognition apparently keyed to me. A file opened on its own, labeled Operation Homeowner Net. I did not even want to know why they gave it such a stupid code name, but I clicked through the files anyway. There were surveillance videos, maps of our neighborhood with red pins, and dossiers on all the homeowner association board members. Karen's file was the thickest, pages of financial transactions, travel logs to suspicious locations, and a weird invoice that showed payment to a private enforcement contractor. That had to be the fake cop. I flipped through to see that the so-called homeowner association compliance officers were actually part of a mercenary security group based out of Nevada. Their website looked legit, if you ignored the fact that they did not list any clients, reviews, or even a contact number. That is when I noticed the second file on the desktop, Contingency Plan Suburban Lockdown. The moment I clicked on it, a live satellite feed popped up, centered on our neighborhood. I could see the black van turning down a wooded access road behind the clubhouse, one that the homeowner association had recently closed off for renovations. I grabbed the black phone and followed Liv's instructions from the letter. Call this number if anything goes wrong. I did. It rang once, then a voice answered. Mr. Granger. Yes, who is this? This is Molly. I am with Liv's unit. She is safe for now. We have been tracking her. I will send help. Wait, what the hell is going on? Why is the homeowner association kidnapping people? They are not just an association, Molly said darkly. Karen is not who she says she is. She is under deep surveillance for laundering money through suburban developments and might be connected to a foreign influence ring. Your wife volunteered to go undercover here. This whole community is a front. My mouth was so dry I could barely speak. What do? I croaked. Stay put, backup is en route, and whatever you do not let anyone from the homeowner association near your house. Then she hung up. I turned around slowly, and there was Karen standing on my front lawn, hands clasped politely, smile like a shark, and two of her fake officers just behind her. Mr. Granger, she called sweetly, we need to talk about your wife's recent violations. She was not there to talk, and I knew it. That is when I realized this was not about porch clutter anymore. This was war. I did not move, I did not breathe. Karen stood in my yard like she owned it, wearing her signature lavender blouse, clutching a thick homeowner association binder like it was the Constitution. Behind her, two of the same fake officers who just abducted my wife adjusted their knockoff tactical gear, trying to look menacing, but I could tell their patches were crooked, and one of them had a Nerf dart stuck to his boot. It would have been funny if I were not so sure they were armed. I forced a smile and waved from the window like a confused husband who had no idea his wife was being held in a suburban bunker. Karen gave me a tight little nod and then thankfully turned around and walked away, the fake officers trailing her like bad cosplay. As soon as they were out of sight, I locked every door in the house and closed the blinds. My brain was running hot. I paced back and forth rereading Liv's letter as if it would suddenly make more sense. CIA. Karen tied to foreign influence. Our quiet little neighborhood a front for some kind of laundering operation. And my wife, my lemon ginger tea drinking, yoga-loving wife was in the middle of all of it. Actually, she was not just in the middle, she was running it, undercover, like she was Jason Bourne with better manners. Back at the hidden terminal, I scrolled through the files again. The Operation Homeowner Net document included a timeline of the mission. Liv had embedded herself as a resident over a year ago, supposedly retiring from active duty, but clearly that retirement was fake. Her target was Karen, real name. Karina Vov, born in Malova, came to the States on a student visa, stayed under a false identity, and gradually inserted herself into various homeowner associations across the country. Each time the pattern was the same. She would rise to power, make aggressive changes, and start filtering money through fake fines and shell contractor invoices. The money trail was dense, snaking from neighborhood fees to landscaping companies that did not exist, then off into offshore accounts. I could not believe it. Our homeowner association dues were funding international crime, and I had complained about the pool not having enough umbrellas. But what shook me most was that Liv had kept this from me so perfectly. I mean, she had lived here with me for over a year, slept beside me, we had hosted movie night, gone camping, she never slipped, not once. That calmness when she was taken, it was not just bravery, it was control. She knew exactly what she was doing. The phone buzzed again, a new message from the secure line. Help is in the neighborhood, do not engage unless you are forced, look for signs, they are watching too. I stepped onto the back porch and scanned the yard. Everything looked normal, a few birds, our old hammock swaying in the breeze. Then I noticed something weird. Our neighbor Mrs. Jensen was watering her plants in the same pattern, watering the same bush, then the next, then circling back. She was not gardening, she was signaling. I waved cautiously. She made a quick hand gesture and turned back inside. That night, under the cover of darkness and way too much caffeine, I snuck over to her house. Mrs. Jensen opened the door the moment I reached the steps, as if she had been waiting for me. Get in, she said, They are sweeping the neighborhood again in 10 minutes. I slipped inside. Her home looked normal, if your definition of normal included floor-to-ceiling screens showing live feeds of the entire block, a desk covered in encrypted radios, and a file drawer labeled Operation Suburbia Phase 2. "You," I whispered. She smirked. "I am part of Liv's unit, code name Shrubbery." Do not laugh, we all picked plant names. I did not laugh, mostly because I was too stunned. She knew this might happen, that they would try something bold before we got full authorization. So when they grabbed her, we activated the fail-safe. "You were step 1. "Why me?" "Because you are the only one she trusted to stay unpredictable. We needed chaos to cover the extraction. You were the wild card." I did not feel like a wild card. I felt like a guy who just learned his neighbors were all federal agents and his wife had been lying to him while making homemade granola. Mrs. Jensen, Shrubbery, walked me through the plan. The van had taken Liv to the homeowner association clubhouse, which apparently had a full basement, renovated under the guise of storm shelter improvements. She had allowed herself to be taken because she had planted a GPS beacon in her sandal. Her team was triangulating her location, but they needed someone inside to disable the clubhouse security grid, something Liv had secretly wired into our own home system when she built the smart upgrade. "She always said she was just really into tech," I muttered. "She is into tech," Shrubbery grinned. "She just did not tell you it was for counterintelligence work." I agreed to help, mostly because I did not want to sit around drinking chamomile while my wife faced a bunch of rogue homeowner association mercenaries alone. Shrubbery gave me a flash drive with a deactivation virus and instructions. Plug it into the security uplink hidden in the shed behind the clubhouse. Simple enough, except the shed was also where Karen's goons like to hang out and smoke whatever off-brand cigars they brought in their tactical diaper bag. The next morning I acted casual, took out the trash, waved at Karen like nothing was wrong. She stared me down like a predator eyeing dinner but did not approach. The shed was within view from our backyard, so I waited until late afternoon, when the guards wandered off for what looked like an extended taco break. I sprinted across the alley and ducked behind the hedge, heart pounding so hard I could hear it. The shed door was locked, but Liv had taught me how to pick basic locks one night over wine and old spy movies. I figured she thought it was romantic. Now I realized it was training. Inside the shed, I found the uplink panel hidden beneath a fake lawnmower. I jammed in the flash drive, waited for the light to turn green, then bolted. No one saw me, or so I thought. That night I got a message from Liv, a voice recording sent through the secure channel. "Nice work, babe. They are blind now. Extraction is coming soon. You did good, and I am sorry I did not tell you everything. I will explain it all when I am out, I promise." The message cut off with static. I stared at the phone for a long time. My wife was CIA. My neighbor was a covert agent. The homeowner association was a front for international criminals. And somehow I had become part of the mission. It was surreal, but I was not scared anymore. If they thought dragging Liv off the porch was going to stop her, they had no idea who they were dealing with. And if they came back for me, well, let us just say I had hidden more than a few surprises in those smart sprinklers. The next morning I woke up to a neighborhood that looked exactly the same as it always did, quiet, peaceful, and painfully unaware that it was ground zero for an undercover CIA. Operation Kids rode scooters. Someone's dog barked at a mailbox. The air smelled like freshly cut grass and unspoken drama. But I knew the truth now, and everything looked different. Every garden gnome, every fake rock, every for sale sign, potential surveillance. The homeowner association clubhouse with its stucco walls and pastel banners did not look like a criminal fortress, but that was the genius of it. Who would ever suspect that a community spirit center with bingo nights and potlucks was a cover for an international laundering ring? After the previous night's success disabling their security grid, I got another message from Shrubbery. The operation was now greenlit. Liv's extraction was scheduled for that evening, and I had a new role. I was to rendezvous with a few other undercover agents, residents I thought were just weird or overly into lawn care, and help coordinate from inside the clubhouse. The objective was clear. We would be attending the fake monthly homeowner association budget meeting, during which Karen would likely be reviewing fake invoices and laundering logs. Our goal was to stall her long enough for Liv's team to breach from below through the tunnel system they had mapped months ago. I was not sure which part was crazier, the idea of a secret tunnel beneath a yoga studio or the fact that my wife had planned it all. I met the other agents at dawn in a garage disguised as a model train workshop. There was Bob, the grumpy old man who always yelled at kids to get off his lawn. Turns out he used to run Black Ops in Berlin. Then there was Priya, the overly enthusiastic dog walker who knew 6 languages and could hotwire anything with a fuse. And finally George, our mailman, who according to Shrubbery had been intercepting suspicious homeowner association letters for over a year. The whole crew looked like the cast of a sitcom, but apparently they were lethal when needed. I was the newbie, but they welcomed me with quiet nods and a muffin from George's thermos lunchbox. CIA muffins were surprisingly good. We reviewed the plan one last time. I would pose as a concerned homeowner attending the meeting to protest a made-up fine. Priya would be seated next to me, armed with a flash grenade hidden in her purse disguised as a dog treat. Bob would be in the control booth monitoring internal comms, and George would stay on the exterior with eyes on the van we suspected was their escape vehicle. Meanwhile, Liv's team would use the temporary blackout in the security grid to breach the underground passage and reach the basement where she was being held. The entire thing had to happen in under 12 minutes or the false power reset would kick in and restore surveillance. Walking into that clubhouse was surreal. Karen greeted everyone at the door, all smiles and pearls, her eyes scanning each person like a TSA agent in disguise. When she saw me, she smiled wider, like a cat welcoming a mouse to brunch. She handed me a printed agenda that was so thick it could have been a phone book. "Glad you are taking your civic duties seriously, Mr. Granger," she purred. I gritted my teeth and nodded. "Just want to make sure my lawn does not cause international incidents." She laughed, but her eyes narrowed. She knew something was off. The air inside was tense, like the walls themselves knew they were about to be raided. The meeting started like any other fake homeowner association event, boring, filled with acronyms no one understood, and completely unnecessary PowerPoint slides. Karen droned on about water usage, fence paint uniformity, and a new beautification fee. When I raised my hand to ask why the clubhouse budget included a $14,000 line item for advanced noise management equipment, her smile faltered. "That is for community concert support," she lied. "In the basement, That is when I saw it, a flash of recognition in her eyes. She knew I knew. But she did not panic. She adjusted. That was the scary part. Just then, Priya accidentally dropped her purse first, and as she bent down, her eyes met mine. We were at the 8-minute mark. Liv's team had to be close. Suddenly, there was a loud buzzing noise, probably part of Bob's interference plan to temporarily shut down the clubhouse Wi-Fi. Karen stiffened. "This meeting is adjourned," she said abruptly and started gathering her papers. Too soon. She made a move toward the side door, but I stepped in front of it. "Leaving so soon?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "You are obstructing homeowner association procedure," she said, her voice dangerously calm. "And you are laundering money through dead lawn services, Karina Vov." Her face dropped. That was it. The mask was gone. She signaled to her men, 2 of them in the room disguised as minutes takers. They moved fast, pulling pistols from inside their briefcases. Before they could aim, Priya threw the dog treat bag across the floor. It exploded in a blinding flash of white and blue light, and chaos erupted. People screamed. Karen bolted for the emergency exit, but George, our mailman turned sniper, hit the fire door lock remotely, trapping her inside. And then, like clockwork, a trapdoor on the stage floor popped open, and Liv rose out of it like an action figure on a mission. She was covered in dirt, breathing heavy, and holding a stun baton. "Did you miss me?" she said to Karen, voice cool and furious. Karen lunged, but Liv dropped her with a quick jolt from the baton and a leg sweep that would have made a UFC fighter jealous. The rest of the homeowner association thugs either surrendered or ran straight into George's net traps outside. Within minutes, federal agents disguised as local landscapers stormed in and began processing the scene. The real police were called, but only after the CIA had taken what they needed. Karen was cuffed, finally speechless, as Liv stood over her. "You should have stuck to fines about garbage bins," she said. The aftermath was a blur. Residents peered from their homes as Karen and her fake team were loaded into black SUVs. No one had any idea what had really happened, only that the homeowner association had a shakeup. The official story was embezzlement and impersonation charges. The unofficial one, a CIA-led neighborhood extraction that went off with only minor smoke inhalation and one sprained ankle. That night, Liv and I sat on the porch again. The swing creaked just like it used to. She looked at me with those same calm eyes. "I should have told you," she said softly. "You did," I replied in your own weird spy wife way. She laughed, and for the first time in days, it felt like things might actually be normal again. Until, of course, the replacement homeowner association president showed up at our door the next morning wearing aviators and carrying a clipboard. The clipboard guy introduced himself as Ted. He wore boat shoes, khakis so crisp they looked ironed by NASA, and a polo shirt with a tiny homeowner association logo embroidered right over his heart like a badge of honor. He claimed he was the interim homeowner association president, appointed by upper homeowner association management, which was hilarious because apparently there was now a whole hierarchy of homeowner association bureaucracy like it was a Fortune 500 company and not just a bunch of people obsessed with lawn symmetry. He smiled like someone who practiced it in the mirror, and I could tell right away he was not just here to check fence height. He was here to assess the damage, not to the neighborhood, but to whatever dark operation Karen had been running. Liv stood behind me as Ted explained that the homeowner association board would be undergoing restructuring and that they would be re-evaluating the community standards, which sounded innocuous enough until he added, particularly concerning homeowner surveillance and protocol adherence. That was the line that tipped it. He was not new. He was a replacement cog in the same broken machine. The same game, different face. As soon as he left, Liv pulled me back inside. The house, still technically wired from our previous defensive setup, had picked up a brief radio transmission while Ted had been on our porch. It was encrypted, short, and not from a local police band. Shrubbery decoded it 10 minutes later and confirmed what we feared. Ted was not homeowner association. He was private sector, sent in by one of the shell companies exposed during Karen's takedown. Someone high up had decided Pine Grove was still valuable, and they were sending in a new player to take over the board, clean up the mess, and try to cover what remained of the operation. But this time, they were not just coming for power. They were coming for revenge. That night, Liv called an emergency meeting, not of the CIA team but of the actual neighborhood residents, the ones who had been silently watching their homeowner association fines rise, who had gotten letters about grass shade mismatches and holiday decoration overages, the ones who had lived in fear of Karen and her clipboard cult. She figured if the operation was done and her cover blown, it was time to let the neighborhood in on what had really been happening, or at least a version of it. We met in the backyard under the string lights Liv had always said were just for ambience but were actually wired with motion sensors and signal boosters. There were about 20 people, neighbors from all walks of life, some old, some new, some who had kept to themselves until now. Liv stood up on the porch and gave them the cleaned-up version. The homeowner association had been corrupted, the new guy was not legit, and if we did not push back, we would be right back where we started, only worse. To my surprise, they did not panic. They got mad. Old Mr. Davis, who once filed an actual complaint over the color of someone's birdhouse, stood up and said, "I knew something was fishy the day Karen declared war on wind chimes." A woman in the back added, "They tried to fine me for painting my front door a cheerful yellow, called it aggressive optimism." By the end of the night, everyone was ready, not for a protest, not for a letter-writing campaign, for a full-on neighborhood rebellion. The next day, we began what Liv called Phase 4, the home front uprising. It was not a military operation, but it might as well have been. Residents started turning their properties into low-key fortresses. One guy with a landscaping business brought in hedges that doubled as visual shields. Someone else who worked in IT rerouted the clubhouse Wi-Fi to loop fake videos of peaceful meetings, just in case anyone was still watching remotely. Shrubbery loaned out infrared sensors disguised as garden lights. Even the kids got involved, setting up lookouts and relay codes using their walkie-talkies. We rebranded it as a block party for anyone watching from the outside. Grill smoke filled the air, Lawn chairs appeared everywhere, music played. But beneath the surface, it was all strategy. If Ted or any of his people made a move, we would know instantly. Then came the homeowner association board reinstatement ceremony. Apparently, Ted thought it would be fun to hold a formal event in the clubhouse to reunify the community. He sent out embossed invitations like he was hosting a royal ball. Most people are SVPD yes, but that was part of the plan. The day of the ceremony, the neighborhood looked like a festival. Everyone wore their Sunday best, tables lined with food, kids playing tag between the rose bushes. But everyone had a role. Inside their purses, their jackets, their lemonade stands, tiny surprises. Liv had rigged several anniversary lanterns to release a visible powder when opened, marking whoever passed through a UV-detectable mist. The clubhouse door handles had been lightly dusted with temporary ink that would glow under a specific wavelength. And best of all, the podium microphone, hot mic, connected straight to our private speakers planted around the cul-de-sac. Ted stood up at the podium with his smirk and started reciting some ridiculous preamble about order and integrity. Then mid-speech, he reached under the podium and tapped a button, one that was supposed to signal someone remotely. Only instead of sending a silent alert to his people, it triggered the sound system Liv had set up, which played his own previously recorded voice muttering into a hidden line, "Get ready to move on the targets if they do not comply." People froze. Ted's face went pale. He tried to laugh it off, claiming it was a prank, but it was too late. Mr. Davis, bless his angry little heart, stormed up and poured a drink over Ted's fancy loafers. Others followed, surrounding him, phones out, questions flying. Ted panicked and made a run for it. That is when the flamingos exploded. Okay, not exploded exactly, but those pink plastic flamingos everyone thought were just tacky decor, they had been fitted with motion sensors and dye canisters. When Ted ran through the path lined with them, they activated in sequence, releasing clouds of pink powder that coated him head to toe like a giant suburban cotton candy. He was coughing, slipping, and glowing under UV light like a glittery jellyfish. His SUV peeled out of the clubhouse parking lot before he could even open the door. His driver was halfway down the block before he jumped in, covered in shame and neon dye. The footage went viral by nightfall. Liv and I watched it from our porch swing, sipping drinks while the neighborhood celebrated with fireworks. Shrubbery stopped by with snacks. George waved from across the street. Even Bob cracked a smile, which according to Liv was rarer than a lunar eclipse. The homeowner association had fallen again, but this time the neighborhood did not need federal agents to fix it. They did it themselves. And somehow, in all the madness, it started to feel like home again. In the weeks that followed the flamingo fiasco, the neighborhood slowly returned to something resembling normal. Well, normal for a place where residents had once weaponized lawn ornaments, where CIA agents baked banana bread for stakeouts, and where porch swings doubled as surveillance perches. The pink powder eventually washed off the sidewalks, though a few spots on the clubhouse still glowed faintly under UV light, a quiet reminder of Ted's sprint through suburban justice. No one talked about it openly, but you could see it in the way people smiled at each other now, like we had been through something wild together and lived to tell the tale. Even the squirrels looked more confident, like they knew the balance of power had shifted. Karen's trial began 2 towns over, far from Pine Grove. The charges stacked up like bricks: fraud, impersonation, illegal detainment, conspiracy, money laundering through shell landscaping companies, and operating an unlicensed homeowner association militia. I had not even known that last one was a crime category, but apparently there is a subsection for suburban paramilitary enforcement. The courtroom was full every day, packed with journalists, legal experts, and an alarming number of homeowner association presidents from around the state who came to witness the downfall of one of their own. Karen tried to play the victim at first, but when the CIA dropped video footage of her giving orders to her fake officers, her whole defense crumbled like one of those dry sugar cookies she used to serve at meetings. Her sentencing is still pending, but the rumor is she is looking at serious time in a white-collar facility without access to any kind of committee or clipboard. Liv was promoted quietly. No fanfare, no medals, just a secure envelope slipped into our mailbox one evening. Inside was a new ID badge, a classified memo, and a note that simply read excellent work, you are being reassigned, but not far. She did not say much about it, but I noticed the agency sent her a new laptop and a small secure briefcase, which she tucked into the back of our linen closet like it was nothing more than an extra towel. She told me she had technically returned to field work oversight, but that this was her soft landing. We both knew better. Pine Grove was not a landing, it was a launch pad. And me, well, I got voted in as the new homeowner association president. It was not something I campaigned for, but after the community saw me stand up to Karen and Ted, they practically shoved the position into my hand. At first, I thought they were joking. I even checked the rules to see if someone had slipped in a joke clause, but it was real. So I accepted under one condition, that we rewrite the entire set of rules from scratch, starting with a rule that no homeowner association president may have access to private enforcement teams, tactical gear, or flamingo watching tools. That got a standing cheer at the first meeting. Our first official order of business was to host a real community event, not a secret spy event or a fake money meeting, but an actual celebration. We called it Liberation Lawn Day. Everyone brought out their weirdest decorations, giant gnomes, inflatable dinosaurs, LED lights shaped like tacos. Someone even put up a disco ball in their tree. We held a barbecue, set up games, and let the kids vote on the best decorated house. No fines, no warnings, just pure, unfiltered peaceful neighborhood fun. The winner got a trophy shaped like a pink flamingo, now rebranded as a neighborhood hero. Liv watched it all with a strange mix of amusement and quiet happiness. I caught her once standing near the clubhouse, sipping her drink and smiling to herself like she was watching the final scene of a movie she directed. She never claimed credit for any of it. She let the community think the takedown of Karen and her group had been a lucky chance or a long-delayed punishment. But a few people knew. Shrubbery, George, Bob, and me. We knew exactly who had planned the entire fall from her garden bed and porch swing. We even got a letter from someone high up, sent to Liv but delivered in a plain white envelope with no return address. Inside was a single sentence, "Your neighborhood is now officially marked as safe zone." That was all. No signature, no agency stamp, but it meant something. Pine Grove had become what no other place had managed, an actual peaceful place, a clean start, a community free from hidden groups, rogue homeowner association operations, or suburban battles. Of course, it did not last forever. One sunny Saturday about a month after the celebration, a moving truck came into the street. It stopped in front of the house 2 doors down, the one that had been strangely empty ever since Karen's helper Ron had vanished during the case. Out stepped a tall woman in shiny glasses, black boots, and a long coat in the middle of summer. She looked around the neighborhood like she was checking for heat signals, then turned to one of the movers and gave instructions in a language I did not understand. Liv watched her from the kitchen window and sighed. "Great," she said, "that is Belarusian." I raised an eyebrow. "Just a coincidence." Liv shrugged, grabbed a lemon, and started scraping it like she had not just said our new neighbor might be part of an Eastern country spy group. "We will see," she said calmly. "Maybe she just likes cold weather clothing." I nodded slowly. "Should I bring out the flamingos?" She smiled. "No, not yet, but keep the porch swing camera on." And that was that. No panic, no alarms, just a new chapter in whatever strange life we had found ourselves in. We were not just a married couple anymore. We were a married couple with a porch that had survived a fake homeowner association takeover, a wild CIA mission, 2 illegal arrests, and 1 attempted color attack. We were a team now, fully part of the quiet world of secret neighborhood politics, with a flamingo trophy on our shelf and a file marked just in case. And as we sat on our porch that evening, watching the sun go down over a community finally at peace, with kids playing, grills cooking, and lawn decorations blinking in strange order, we knew that no matter who moved in next or what clipboard they carried, we would be ready because you can mess with a lot of things in this world but you do not mess with our porch.